Hello, welcome back to another episode of Keeping It Real with Najeh Wilkins. So much to get into today. Today we're going to be talking about Brookwood Coach. She'll come on the show, and me and her are going to break down the Brookwood program. They're having off to a 7-1 start, having a great season so far. The only loss was to River Ridge, so we'll break down kind of what happened in that game. 70-59 victory for River Ridge. And then after that, I'll be breaking down Grayson basketball. They're off to a great start, 6-1 this season, performing great. They got a tournament coming up in Miami, playing some really good schools, so I'll break that down. Also, shout out to Coach Geoffrey Pierce. That'll be really good. Get into that. And then after that, I'll break down 6A. I think this is one of the toughest classifications in women's basketball, so I can't wait to break that down, the top 10 rankings. Go to scoreatl.com. Read some of our content there. But, yes, our rankings just came out this week, so I'm going to break that down, what the teams have been doing this season, some of the players, so that'll be fun. And then in our last segment, we'll be talking to Craig Sager, breaking down some boys basketball and some women's basketball. As you know, it is that time of the year. It's heating up, major Christmas tournaments as we get to the new year. And in the new year, you usually see region play, and there's a lot of good matches to look forward to. One for basketball, for boys basketball, is going to be December 10th, which is in a couple of days. Norcross versus Newton. Norcross is off to, I believe, a 4-0 or 5-0 start. And they're going to be playing against Newton, who's 3-2, but are playing really good this season, have a lot of star players on their team. So we'll break that down. We'll get to Stephon Castle and his 41-point game and much, much more. So I'm going to see if we can bring on Coach Courtney now. No, nothing yet? Okay. Let me see if I can text her really quick and see. Okay. Just texted her, guys. While we're waiting, I'm going to look at some of these results from the past week that I got here. Let's go to the boys' side. All right. Again, shout out to Sandy Spill. Go to sandyspill.com. Get all the great basketball content. He just had a tournament, and he really breaks down this stuff well. It really helps me with my show. So, yes, definitely a great source for high school basketball, sandyspill.com. But let's go ahead and look at some of these results. So, up top, number one, Wheeler. They defeated Kimball, Texas, 77-61 in the Tournament of Champions the past week. McEachern fell 67-62 against Class 5A number one, Kell. Number three, Grayson's up a spot, who I'm going to break down in a little bit. 64-60 win over Class 6A number one, Alexander at the Tournament of Champions. Jakari Harris posted 19 points. Amir Taylor posted 18 points and 7 rebounds. Number 5, Newton, as I mentioned earlier, dropped a tough game against National Powers Duncanville. Texas, 80-76, performed really good. And Stephon Castle went off for 41 points. Played really well. Number 8, Archer, climbs up after securing a 65-60 win against Mountain View. Kamari Holmes tallied 19 points and 8 boards. And then Parkview kind of fell out of his pole there. Let's look at some other ones. Centennial defeated Milton 64-54. Pebblebrook won 84-79. Josh Dixon also poured in a great performance, 41 points. And then Milton closed the week with a 67 win versus Chapel Hill. Tournament champions, if Pebblebrook rebounded with a 63-41 victory versus Tri-Cities. Oh, let me see. Okay, let me see. Got her. Okay. Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I was trying to get on my laptop, but it wasn't working.
No worries. I'm glad we could do this interview. But, Coach, I'm going to start with you before we get to your team. I read that you went to Shiloh High School. And you guys tell me, after you went to Shiloh, what was it had two different answers. What was the school you went to after? Was it University of Alabama or was it Tennessee Tech?
No, I played at the University of Alabama.
Okay.
That's where I went on to play, where I got a full ride from.
And what position did you play while you were in school?
I was a center. Sorry, I'm trying to find some bells in the ring. I was a center.
Okay. And just walk me through,
Power
Coach, how was
forward
that
center.
experience for you at University of Alabama?
No, I enjoyed everything about it. Just great atmosphere, great competition. Learned a lot as like a student athlete. I mean, things change are definitely different at the college level. as far as intensity and competition and what's expected of you. And then, of course, at Alabama and the football and all that. So I definitely learned a lot and grew a lot as a person and as a player. So I enjoyed every bit of it.
Yes, ma'am. And what kind of led you to coaching, Coach? Was it a player? Was it a mentor, somebody you connected with? What ultimately led you to your job at Brookwood, and where did your kind of coaching career kind of begin?
I really never thought about coaching, but one day when I was playing college basketball, we used to host kids camps every summer, and they would always have us get involved with the camps. And I just enjoyed working with the students, with the youth. I don't know, I just found it at that point one summer when we were working with the camps. And I just really enjoyed working with them and the excitement and the relationships, like with the youth that we built with them. And it just grew on me. And then from there, I told my coaches that I was interested in coaching. Um, and they helped me along the way, some of my assistant coaches, and they just pointed me in the right direction. And then from there, I did AAU basketball. I mean, my first coaching gig was an 11-year-old youth team right
Nice.
out of college, so that was definitely different right out of college. And then teaching 11-year-olds who've never played before, and I really had to go back to like, because I'm used to doing once you learn how to do something, you don't think about like how you learn how to do it. It just comes natural. And so to take a step back and to like, okay, how did I learn how to do a layup? Like, how did I teach this? Was a different aspect and a different perspective that I never thought about. And I enjoyed that challenge. So, and then from there, I just, with the 11-year-olds and then AAU, I was still in Alabama in grad school coaching, and I volunteered with some AAU programs there. And then came home to Georgia, back home to Georgia, where I'm from, Snellville, um, and volunteered with some more AAU programs, and then got in with. I was a lay coach at Parkview actually for a year, and then I got a call, just some connections, some people that I known over the years, like some former teammates that I had. Got a job at Pensacola State College, and just building those connections over the years and staying in contact with people helped me to get on at the college realm. And I was able to, my first coaching job was at Pensacola State College. And then I just continued to work and just build my way up from there.
Got you. Wow, what experience! What a journey for you, Coach. Coaching 11-year-olds, and then you're coaching on the college level. That's pretty cool. That's definitely two different
Yeah,
things. So, um,
yeah.
but but yeah, for you, Coach. Last year you guys 23-5. You win the region title. What was the expectation, the goals that you set forth for your team this year?
Just it's a new year. It's a new year, so every year is different, different challenges. And then my returners just coming back, just letting them know to set the standard. And letting them know that we've set the standard since I've been here and the expectations, and we don't want anything less than that. And just having those girls that have been here since the beginning to know that, and to just keep those expectations and those standards high year after year, and then just the commitment and the consistency that each year that these girls have brought, and they have just stepped up to it every time, and then just having a good coaching staff along with me to hold them accountable as well. So it's just building a program, building a philosophy, and then that culture that you build in a program.
Yes, ma'am. And tell me a little bit about your Ohio State commit, Diana Collins. What makes her so special year in, year out? She's performing great. Just what kind of sets her apart?
Diane, she is a special player. Just her worth ethic over the years, just being committed to continue to grow each and every year from her freshman year till even now it's her senior year, just growing and her worth ethic, staying committed, her competitive nature. She's a very competitive person, and she doesn't like to lose, and just that piece alone sets her apart from like our opponents as well in practice, and making everybody around her better, to step up to, guarding her and her IQ level and things like that. So her opponents, and even in practice, she just makes everybody around her better.
Yes, ma'am. And let's talk about Danielle Asho. Last year she played for you as a freshman. Now she's going into her
Mhm.
sophomore year. What kind of steps has she taken in the offseason, conditioning, training, to get where she is today? And how did she look kind of in practicing in games for you?
Yes, Danny, she's grown up a lot since her freshman year. I'm really proud of her from her freshman year. and just taking everything in and learning and being a sponge with everything that she had to go through last year. And then over the summer, it's like a light bulb went off in her head, and she is just, I knew it was in her, her freshman year, just growing up and just have the, freshman jitters and things like that to overcome. But she has definitely stepped up her sophomore year and just worked with that. And in the weight room, she's consistent, she's working, and she's like worked a lot over the summer. She plays with, I think, FBC, and she has some trainers. So
You can switch it to me.
we're
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I think that definitely was probably the connection going back into the building. But yeah, she's talking about Danielle Ashu. Played some good minutes for them last year. She's having a great season. Um, and now she's a sophomore. As she mentioned, the light bulb kind of just went off for her, and she's been having a great year. But yeah, I mean Brookwood again. They're off to a great start, 7-1 this year. They're kind of coming into their own. Last year they were 23-5, so I know their eyes are kind of set on building that philosophy, building that culture, and ultimately hoping probably to get into that state final. So they're definitely a very talented group and a talented bunch. Hey,
hey,
coach, sorry about that.
hey,
Kind of cut out there.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
fun.
but yes, ma'am. But I'll move on to a couple more players that kind of transferred in for you. Jade Westerby, Peyton O'Brien. How have they kind of filled into your culture, your philosophy, and what you have set for your team since they've kind of been there at Brookwood?
Yeah, Jay Weathersby, she's transferred into us like you mentioned. She's another dynamic that adds to our program. Just complements with Diana and Danny. Jay, she can step out, she can go inside. Just adds a different element to our game that we haven't had in the past. So, like I said, all of them complement each other. And the stretch forward, and then Peyton's the same way. She can rebound the ball, sprinting the floor, and things like that. So all three of those add a different element that we haven't had as far as like in the post. We've been very guard heavy in the past. So this year we definitely have an inside outside game, and those three all together help with that.
Yes, ma'am. And then this year you led, you know, a lot more experience, seniors, a lot of seniors in there. So how is it? How nice is it to have that kind of coming into this year and helping you guys reach, the ultimate goal of what you want to accomplish? Just having that experience and having your girls.
Oh yes, definitely leadership. Having those veteran players on the team. We have 5 returning, and then even said we have 6 seniors. So they've all been playing basketball for a long time, and they've played on a big platform. Especially our returner players, they played on big platform, and then even some that play on elite AAU programs that have played there as well. So those experiences are definitely going to come in to stretch, especially later on down in the road. And even now we have a big game coming up on Saturday versus Cal. It's going to be a tight game. So just those experiences and learning from them and growing from those mistakes that we've made in the past, and then just improving off of those. And then like those veterans, just bringing the other ones along and to set the tone. Like I said, the tone and the expectation that we talked about before, and then bringing the rest of them on board and just getting the team to play together is just the biggest thing right now.
Yes, ma'am. And let's look really quick to that game against Kale. What kind of stood out to you with what they bring to the table, offensively, and what's kind of your game plan going into that game against Kale? A program that, was there last year that competed really good. I believe they were in the state final, but it's a group that's going to play you tough.
Right. I don't want to give away too much now. We play on Saturday, so um,
Yes, ma'am.
but no, we just again, if we stick to our game plan and we continue to work on playing together
Yes,
as
ma'am.
a team, working on our offense and executing that. Defensively, just being able to guard that on-ball screen number 30. She's a really good player, um, and just helping off on that and being able to know personnel on the team and knowing what we're supposed to do. So I really like again, if we play like we're capable of doing and we lock in, it should be a very good game.
Yes, ma'am. And let's look at a game from earlier this week or even last week. You played River Ridge, lost 70-59. What stood out to you in
Yeah.
that game, Coach? What kind of happened there? I know River Ridge is a really good team out of 6A, but what kind of happened in that game? Walk me through it.
Yeah, River Ridge is definitely a talented team. A lot of things that hurt us was transition defense. That hurt us down the stretch. We were able to tie it up at halftime, 27. I think it was tied up at 27 at halftime. And we battled back and forth throughout the third quarter. And then later on in the fourth quarter, they kind of took it away. Like I said, in those transition, we kind of they had some girls that cherry picked a little bit. And we didn't get back on defense, and that hurt us. I think they had like 2 or 3 transition buckets back to back, and that kind of put us in a slump towards the end, and we just couldn't get back after that. And then just rebound. And again, just execution. Like it's still early on in the season, and we are just going to have to keep growing and learn how to execute our offense. And then we definitely worked on our transition defense, so we can improve off of that. I mean, you always learn off of a loss, so it definitely helped us to get better and make sure that that doesn't happen again moving forward. So it just helped us to see a weakness that we need to work on, and then just keep moving forward from there.
And speaking on that, Coach, how important in your mind do you think it is to play like such a tough non-region schedule? I think you played Lovejoy. I mean, you played River Ridge. You're playing some of the top programs in the state in girls basketball. So, how important, in your opinion, do you think it is playing a tough non-region schedule, getting your girls ready, learning what you do well, what you don't do well, and just improving in that and getting a cohesive group ready for region play and then into the playoffs?
Oh yeah, it's a tough schedule. I always like to play a tough schedule because you want to play the best. If you want to win a championship at the end of the season, like you have to be able to compete. You have to be able to play some of the best teams in the state. And then early on, when you have those tough games and you have that experience early on, and it prepares you for the playoff season. So that is very important and very vital to have a tough schedule so your girls can learn and grow from things and they don't get complacent and they don't get comfortable with the season. So that's a good way to keep the team humble, keep them hungry, and keep them competing in practice so we can continue to grow each and every day.
Yes, ma'am. Two more questions, Coach. 'Cause I think I got here to go to practice at 2:30. So, one, I want to talk about the New Faith Academy win. It was 90-28. Kind of walk me through that. Very dominant offensively, defensively. You didn't allow a lot in the game. What kind of happened in that one? What allowed your girls to be on such a roll on both sides of the ball?
Right. Yes. We definitely, again, as you just mentioned, like our girls are just growing each and every day. Even games like that, we still have to stay the course, stay the process, and just focus on us. Transition points were key, our size advantage with that, and then just having a bench. We have a bench this season, and being able to get girls and keeping them fresh so that we can play a fast-paced game up and down the court, looking to push the ball and things like that. So, and then again, like I said, just using our size to our advantage in that game as well,
Yes, ma'am. And
and
last
setting
question.
goals and accomplishing those goals as well.
Yes, ma'am. And last question, Coach. What have you enjoyed most about coaching so far in your career? And what's been, I know it's still early, Coach, but what's been your favorite thing to start the season about this group, this senior-led group, 6 seniors, as you mentioned, a lot of experience. What's been your favorite thing about these girls so far?
Um, Let me see. My favorite thing is just watching them grow and develop. Even though I know it's still early in the season, but seeing them pick up on things and seeing them buy in and being committed and buying into each other and building those relationships with each other and seeing those light bulbs go off. They're tiny little light bulbs right now, but I enjoy like watching those light bulbs go off when they finally get it. Watching them lean on each other and just watching them grow as a team each and every day. I generally enjoy watching them grow as young ladies. So I enjoy building those relationships with them, getting to know them, and then just those memories that you make on the court, the good and the bad, because you can laugh at the bad ones later on.
Yes, ma'am.
But I definitely enjoy all those aspects of this season so far.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to say thank you so much for joining the show. Greatly appreciate it. Good luck to your girls the rest of the season. Go
Thank
Broncos, and
you.
hope to have you on later in the season, maybe during playoffs, to get you on and kind of get an assessment of how the season went, and what are you looking forward to most in the playoffs.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to coming back on.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day.
So, all right, guys. So that was Courtney Mince. Appreciate her coming on. That was Brookwood coach. Again, 7-1 start. Really good group. Diana Collins made first team All State pretty much this year. They got some good transfers coming in there. Jay Westerby. Um, and I think they got a good group, man. I mean, they playing a tough schedule. We playing some of the best players out there in teams out there in 6A. I mean, a great group that I'm going to break down in just a little bit as we take a quick break and thank our sponsor, NFHS. All right, guys, we are back. Before I bring Craig Sager on, we're going to definitely break down the 6A women's basketball bracket out there in Georgia. I mean, just phenomenal, I think, group here. Really enjoyed a lot, you know. And then we're going to break down Grayson and the great job that Geoffrey Pierce, head coach, is doing there. So let's go ahead and break it down. So River Ridge is 6-0. They defeated 7A powerhouse Brookwood 70-59, as I mentioned before. All of their wins this year by double digits. They have three scorers who average double digits: Kayla Cleveland, Sophia Pearl, the sophomore, and Matiah Gale. Not quite where they want to be shooting-wise. I remember having going River Ridge coach earlier this season. He said about around 34, 35%. They want to shoot from the three-point range, but they're a little below that. They're about around 28%. So, that's what he likes to aim around. But, I mean, they've been having a phenomenal season. So, definitely going to try to get them on later on in the year. Talk about the kind of their tough non-region schedule. But they're playing brilliantly. Then number 2 is Lovejoy. Both of the losses were by a combined 7 points. They lost week 2 versus Brookwood, 54-51. Really struggled shooting-wise in that one, only 35% in that loss to Brookwood. But played really good defensively, only allowed 54 points. They had a tough shooting night, too, for Brookwood. Rockdale County was a 4-point loss, but I think they have battled adversity well early and have continued to get better all year long. Those games will make them only better down the line, playing that tough schedule. Those non-region schedules, man, I'm telling you, I think it's important. That's what I'm realizing in my first full year at the helm of analyzing and watching high school basketball, watching high school football. Your non-region schedule really matters. And you've seen teams that went through a gauntlet in the championship, like, for example, a Cedar Grove team, 9-2, I think 10-2 on the year, had 2 shutouts to close out before they reached state. Tough non-region schedules. Played Colquitt County, played defending champion Collins Hill. They played Mill Creek. They played Buford. Like, they play the tough teams that you see normally down the line. And that really really molds your team. So that non-regional schedule, what I'm learning, is really, really important. But let's move to number 3, Rockdale County. Again, defeated the aforementioned Lovejoy. They're 7-0 on the year, having a great season. Their closest win all year was against Lovejoy, 56-52. Third quarter, Rockdale outscored them 19-14. That was really pretty much the difference in the game. Fourth quarter was even. They split at 16-16. Brianna Preston, that one, had 19 points on an efficient 68% shooting from the field. Danielle Carnegie exploded for Rockdale for 36 points in that game. She's been having a phenomenal season, so that's kind of the difference. Couldn't get enough answers for Carnegie as she exploded and went absolutely off. And then at number 4 in our rankings, New Manchester. 4-1 start the season, suffered their first loss of the season Tuesday night against Langston, who's 45-38. 3 of their 5 games have been decided by 5 points or less. Amaya Brolis and Andrea Guilford both lead the team, scoring 14 points per game. Brodus is averaging a double-double with 14 points and 12 rebounds a game. Then move on to Forest Park. They're 5-1 on the year. Only loss was in the opener was to Hebron Christian, a team that is still undefeated. They've been rolling. They will have some good tests coming up. They play Monday's Mill. Forest Park will be an interesting test to see. They have Lovejoy before that on December 13th, and they will be on the road. Oh, that would be a road game. I think that would be another good test for them in the calendar year. They will face Rockdale County, who's still undefeated, as I mentioned earlier. Yasmin Allen this year is leading them in scoring, 18.7 points per game, and Jada Brown, 14.5 points per game, leading them in scoring. And then Michaela Arnold is their rebound leader, gobbling up 9.2 boards per game. 6 is Langston Hughes, still 3-0. 3-0, excuse me, since their opening loss to a really good Kell team that Brookwood was going to play pretty soon here. 75-50. Kell has a really good coach in Kendra Billy. She knows what she's doing. She's had them, I think, last year in the state championship game. They did fall a little bit short, but a phenomenal group. But Hughes has handled their business. They look really sharp on the defensive side of the ball and haven't been allowing a lot of points. And then 7 is Woodward Academy. They're 5-2, losses to Griffin, 62-56, and in Forest Park, 69-66. They've looked good in their games. Big game Friday night. They're going to play Lovejoy. I think that'll be interesting to see who wins that. Then their next game is going to be against Rockdale County. So real 2 tough tests for Woodward County. See where they at. They can really evaluate how good they are. Those games are going to tell them a lot about their team. But right now they're 3-0 in region play and off to a good start. But Sarah Lewis leads them right now in scoring. She's averaging 21 points per game and 7 boards. Cameron Herring, sophomore, 13.1 points per game. Kayla Whitner, sophomore, averaging 10 points per game. So we'll see how good Woodward Academy is in the coming days. North Forsyth, 4-2 right now in the season. Losses to Hillgrove and South Forsyth. Still haven't hit their region schedule yet, but I think a good test coming up. I think it might be in the next calendar year against Buford in about a week and a half or so. Buford is 6-0 on the season, so that'd be a really good barometer to see how good North Forsyth is. Moving to number 9, South Effingham, 7-1, but handling their business. Only loss was to Camden County, who looks like they'll get to play again pretty soon here. Lainey Dobb leads them in scoring, 12.5 points per game, and she averages 7 rebounds. Looks like for the most part, senior-led group. They are really good on the boards. I think they average about 40 per game, and they have 3 players averaging 8 or more rebounds per game. But they really take the rebounding game seriously for that team. So we'll see how good they are. And then 10 and last but not least, Brunswick, 3-2 on the year. Played Rockdale County their first game. I mean, absolute buzzsaw. We know how good Rockdale County's been this year, so can't really fault them in the loss there. The other loss was to Lowndes, 51-47. Looks like they will play Lowndes next week in South Effingham in the new year. So, that'll be a good region game. Be interested to see how they perform against them. Another good couple tests coming up for Brunswick, see how good their program is. But that's what I got for our 6A. I mean, again, it's just loaded. I mean, you could say Lovejoy. I mean, you can't sleep on Rockdale County. I mean, you got River Ridge up there, undefeated. You got a couple teams that might be able to, make some noise. Woodward Academy is going to play Lovejoy later on here. You got Forest Park. So, we got some good teams, out there in 6A. So, I think it'll be really intriguing. But let's move to the Grayson boys program. I mean, 6-1 on the season. Only loss was to Pebblebrook, 70-67. I think the game against Berkmar will be a really good one for them. That's coming up pretty soon. Berkmar won the state title a few years ago. And then they're going to play in the Florida tournament with teams that all have winning records. So Sage Mount is their first opponent. They're undefeated at 6-0. Rivera Prep is 5-1. Miami Country Day is 4-2. And Miami Stingeries are 4-2. So I think all those are going to be good tests for the Grayson program. And again, it's a school that's kind of known for their football, but I mean, their basketball program is performing brilliant this year. And then they have Newton also on their schedule. They're in their region this year too, so they're going to have 2 matchups at home and away. I think those will be some good games. And I wanted to kind of break down Geoffrey Pierce. He's really brought up this program. It's exceptional what he's doing and what he's done for the Rams. He's in his 10th year as the coach. He's a health PE teacher. Fourth year at Grayson High. He's a graduate of Central Gwinnett High School. He's a varsity basketball player. He played for Coach Melvin Sweat. He began his coaching career, teaching career at Meadow Creek High School under Billy Davis. And then at his time there at Meadow Creek, the varsity boys program made it to the state tournament 5 times. They won a region championship in 2007 and had a second-place finish in 2010. And Coach Pierce also led the JV team to a region championship in 2011. And then Coach Pierce arrived at Grayson, looks like May 2012, Grayson had posted a 13-13 record in Coach Pierce's first season in 2013. 2014, they finished 22-7 and qualified for the state tournament for the first time in school history. And then during the season The team posted a school record for wins in the season at 22, region wins at 11, and then consecutive wins in the season at 17. And then he was named Region 8 Coach of the Year. So, and then in 2015, the team finished 15-11 and posted their first back-to-back winning seasons in the program history. So, I mean, again, he's doing a great thing for that program. Again, 6-1, having a great season. A program that's starting to get known more for, their basketball. Obviously, the football program is great, but I mean, I just wanted to shed some light on him and kind of what he's been doing there. And I think he's been doing a marvelous job. But we're gonna go ahead and keep it going here. Break down some more basketball, some major results this past weekend and week. Alexander fell 64-60 to number 3 Grayson, Tournament of Champions. Lanier is up there, 67-52 win over Denmark. Jonesboro was defeated by Douglas, Tennessee, 58-54. At Memphis versus Atlanta Round Ball Classic, Langston Hughes defeated Tucker 53-50 at the Tournament of Champions. Randy Latham netted 12 points. And then St. Pius knocked off Lithonia 54-38. And then they also were able to survive Blessed Trinity 63-59. And then Coach Aaron Parr actually became the school's all-time winningest coach with 260 victories. Marist outlasted Etowah 55-53 in overtime. And then Paulding County departs following loss. They lost 87-68 to Hiram. And then South Paulding, let's see, Spartans opened up the season. Okay, let's keep it going. Okay, so now I'm trying to see here. Hard to read. Okay, let's go to Lithonia. They lost 54-38 to St. Pius. Heritage Conyers. They lost on the road to Arabia Mountain and then Cedar Grove. So Arabia Mountain was 63-62. Cedar Grove was 82-77. And then Centennial won 58-57 and defeated Parkview. And then you got McDonough out there, I believe, in 5A or 4A. They beat Woodland Stockbridge 83-56. And then, let's see. And then they had a subsequent win, 53-43 against Cordova, Tennessee. So they won that one. They won that game. And keeping it going, Lovett lost to GAC 61-53. They didn't have Michigan commit Christian Anderson in that game. Miller Grove fell 61-39 to Columbia, and then Baldwin defeated Hancock Central in their matchups. Looks like 68-55. Keeping it going, Johnson Savannah were able to win 69-68 against Wilkinson County in that Blue Storm showcase. Sandy Creek defeated Spencer 74-50, and they also defeated Creekside 68-57 on the road. And then Beach was able to escape Griffin 72-69 at the same showcase, Blue Storm. And then Shamari Hughie had 22 points in that one. So really good there. Cedar Grove defeated Dutchtown 67-57. And they also defeated Heritage Conyers 82-77. Darius Reynolds has 16 points, 14 boards, and 3 blocks in that one. So let's go ahead and move to 2A. Spencer, they lost 74-50 against Sandy Creek, but rebounded 61-56 against Class 3A Cross Creek. And then Columbia defeated Miller Grove 61-29 on the road, beating Washington 67-54 at Tournament of Champions to drop the Bulldogs out of the poll. All right. So, see, Putnam County held on to their win, 58-52. Aaron Banks, Georgia Southern Sunday, had scored 20. And then, let's see, I'm going to do one more here. And then, looks like we had Chattanooga sneaked into the poll with 69-66 overtime win there. So, very, very interesting there. All right, so let's look at these polls really quick. This is from Sandy Spill. So it looks like you got Archer For the girls, we'll start with the girls. Archer at number 1, they're 5-0. Brookwood 7-1 at number 2. Norcross 4-0. 4 is Buford 5-0. Peachtree Ridge 5, 6-0. McEachern 6 at 6-2. Carrollton 7 at 3-1. Campbell 8 at 6-2. North Paulding 9 at 5-1, and then Hillgrove 10 at 7-2. It's 6A, probably one of the best classifications. River Ridge 5-0. Rockdale County 6-0. Lovejoy 4-2. New Manchester 4-0. Forest Park 4-1. Woodward Academy 4-2. North Forsyth 3-2. Langston Hughes 2-1. Brunswick 2-2, and then South Effingham 7-1, and then 5A Kill 4-2. Warner Robins 5-0. Maynard Jackson 4-0. 4 is Bradwell Institute 4-1. Northside Columbus at 5. Union Grove at 6. Hiram at 7. Jones County at 8. Calhoun at 9, and then GAC at 10. And then keeping it going, 4A, Holly Innocence 1, Griffin 2, Lowella 3, Stockbridge 4, Baldwin 5, Westminster 6, Walnut Grove 7, Hardaway 8, Chestastee at 9, and then Westover at 10. 3A, Hebron Christian 1, Lumpkin County 2, Wesleyan 3, Lake Forth Oglethorpe 4, Pickens 5, 6 White County, 7 Carver Columbus, 8 Cross Creek, 9 Monroe, 10 Mary Parsons. 2A Mount Perry 1, 2 Landmark Christian, 3 Josie, 4 Central Macon, 5 Fannin County, 6 Banks County, 7 Dodge County, 8 Northeast Macon, 9 Thompson, 10 Murray County. Class A Division 1, 1 Galloway, 2 St. Francis, 3 Elbert County, 4 Rabun County, 5 Woodville Tompkins, 6 Heard County, 7 Lamar County, 8 Tallulah Falls, 9 Treon, 10 Bryan County, and last but not least, Class A Division 2, Lake Oconee Academy at 1, Taylor County at 2, Clinch County at 3, Turner County at 4, Schley County at 5, 6 at Montgomery County, 7 Mount Zion Carrollton, 8 Towns County, 9 Randolph Clay, and then 10 Charlton County. So those are some of the rankings there. Make sure you go to scoreacl.com and then Sandy Spill. But we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to bring Craig Sager to break down everything that's been going on, high school basketball across the major classifications in Georgia. So we'll be back after this break. All right, guys. So we're going to talk to Craig Sager in the next segment. Kind of bring him on and talk, some basketball, men's and women's, and kind of see what's going on there. How some players have been performing this year, and kind of break it all down. So we're going to bring him in.
What's up,
So
Najee?
what's going on, man? How are
Not
you?
much. Doing well. I want to actually start at Grayson because I thought that was an interesting point you brought up. They were so close to getting over the edge last year, winning that state title. This is an amazing stat. So they had 9 losses last year, but 5 of them were within the state of Georgia. They had 4 2-point losses. 4 2-point losses, and then they fell in the semis by, I think, 4 points. So every single one of their losses last year was literally right down to the wire. So I've never seen that where they really didn't have a bad game all year and put themselves in every game. But it was like 64, 62 to McEachern, 60 to 58 to Pebblebrook. And it's like it was just so close the entire season. So that's going to be something to watch this year is like, do they have that closer?
Yeah, that's a great question that you brought up. I mean, yeah, do they have that closer? 6-1. Definitely want to find out more about their program. Hopefully, I can get on Coach Pierce, before the season's over to find a little bit out more. Who's kind of leading them in scoring? Because there's no stats on Max Prep, so I definitely want to learn more about them. But they got some good games coming up. I mean, I think Newton is in their region, so they get to play them. They got a really tough non-region tournament out there in Miami against some really talented, really good schools. So I think that'll be good, man. And yeah, I think that team's on the rise. They've been performing well. But I want to get your thoughts, man. I brought on Brookwood coach Courtney Mince. What did you think about River Ridge beating Brookwood 70-59? And you mentioned them going in the whole 10-0 and kind of stifling Diana Collins, Ohio State commit. I think you said she had 10 or 11 points through three quarters.
Yeah, they got off to a slow start, and from what I saw, two of their other college signees didn't start the game. So I don't know what the situation was with that. Sometimes coaches will bench a girl for a quarter because they showed up late. I'm not saying anyone did that, but they did kind of start the game without her. As for River Ridge, I mean, that is a really good team. I thought what was interesting, she said what they struggled in was transition defense. So, yeah, there's some things you can draw up to try to fix that or negate it, but really, I think what she was saying is like that's just the effort. Because I mean, if you want to fix that, you're just going to have to basically do more suicides or drills like that. Because if you're facing a team that's really good at just rebounding and kicking it out, you got to hustle down the court, especially if it's turning the game against your favor. So that'll be something to watch. But the fact that she was so adamant about that being the biggest weakness, I think that says a lot. And obviously that's something they're going to have to do well in this year because, I mean, there's just so many outstanding ball handlers across the classifications. River Ridge, one of the many Class 6A programs that's potentially going to be competing for a state title, and you go up against a team with these outstanding future college point guards and guards, it's like, yeah, you better get back on defense and you better have a game plan or else they're going to make you pay.
And I don't know if you've seen my first podcast or my first couple, but I had on Coach, I'm drawing a blank with his name, but River Ridge coach, he kind of expects, them to be about 33 to about 35% shooting wise. They're at 28% from three. But what do you think about kind of having that standard over there that he has for his girls and wanting to shoot the ball well? I think one of the games they had early in the year, they shot really bad. I think they were like 1 for like 17 or 18 from three. I did ask him like what he doing that. He said just get a quick bucket, try to go to the free throw line. But what do you think about the standard he's kind of set at that 3-point line for them?
I think it's really huge. It's funny. It's like when people talk about the NBA now, sometimes you hear, oh, it's all about the three ball now. And it's like the game has changed. It's like, yeah, that might be true. But I think the same is like seen at high school. It's like, are you a team that is going to just have that one reliable 3-point shooter that you're going to kind of put in the corner to make teams pay if they try to collapse on your big player, like that kick out? Or are you a team that's going to just shoot a ton of threes, live and die by the three? That's an interesting point. And with River Ridge, Penn State signing Matea Gailey last week against Brookwood had 28 points. Certainly that didn't just come on layups. I mean, she was out there shooting. So I think, that's what's interesting about high school. Some teams have multiple, especially on the girls' side. I mean, every boys' team is going to have guys that are shooting threes. But, like, when you have dangerous 3-point shooters, that is just absolutely key. And there's a lot of teams that are exceptional at it, including one we'll probably talk about later, but Lakeview Fort Oglethorpe down in 3A. They have 39 3-pointers or us in their last 3 games. I mean, that's exceptional and really hard to defend against when you have your team going like that and that threat from beyond the arc. I mean, you can really start opening up some opportunities offensively and running away with it. We're seeing some pretty high-scoring games as well.
Yeah, and for you, how important do you think it is with the game changing? More threes being shot. Sometimes teams aren't very efficient doing that, and I think that's the key, having the efficiency from 3-point range, knocking down more then you miss essentially. But it's hard to make 50% from three. I mean, but how important do you think it is to have a good happy medium, still not abandoning that mid-range game, kind of get into the hoop, using transition to kind of get your offense going and rolling? How important do you think that is, even though the three-point game has kind of proliferated and is a kind of a key keg or key segment or element of the basketball now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is key because you're going to have situations where maybe your pick and rolls or whatever aren't working. You don't want to get trapped in the corner. So if you have players that can shoot from beyond the arc, it's like that's going to keep the defense just running back and forth and trying to close out and cover. So it just creates space. I mean, when you can be a threat, whether it's 30% shooting, 40% shooting, that's got to be a part of your game plan. And that's something we've seen. I mean, there's, on the girls' side, a lot of girls that are just exceptional shooting beyond the arc. I mean, I was talking about Christina Collins from Lakeview Fort Oglethorpe. She shot 50% from three-point last year. I mean, that's just insane. She had 7 3-pointers in one half a couple weeks ago. So you have a player like that. I mean, it just changes the entire game plan. You got to get on them. You got to get out there, or else they're going to make you pay. So I think the change at the high school level, we talk about it with football and stuff, and just imagine how busy these girls are just during the season with their practice schedule, and then the amount of games they play, all these tournaments. These top tier players to the mid tier, they're playing year round. So these are ballers, and I just think they're focused on their game 24/7 every single day of the week. They're practicing, they're taking care of their bodies, and I think that's just why we've seen the shooting get better at the girls level, and there's some just really balanced teams that are hard to defend against, and then just factor in the star power and versatility of some of these outstanding guards that are highlighting 6A. It's just going to make for really exciting battles that are going to kind of come down to which player is just going to have the hottest night.
Yeah, and let's talk about Christina Collins out there at Lakeview Oglethorpe. You pointed out a great stat to me. They were 0-19 the year she went down her sophomore year. She started her freshman year. But now I think junior year they went 20-2. But what makes her so special? Why do you think it was such a precipitous drop off from her being in and playing to her not?
She's just an absolute scorer. So her freshman year, she comes out. They get I think 18 points per game from her, and then she only played a couple games her sophomore year. And then with that team last season, they came really close to winning the 3A title. Their 10 main contributors, they had 13 players on the roster. Their 10 main ones were 5 different sets of sisters. So these are basketball families, and they aren't twins either. So it's like, that's even better. We all know if you have an older brother or an older sister that is playing, it's like usually the younger one comes up, and they're pretty special too because they've been kind of trying to play catch up to their elder sibling and just playing against their friends and stuff. So she actually has had a freshman on the team last year, a freshman sister who's now a sophomore. They've just been playing together a long time. They're comfortable. They're like a family. And what Lakeview does so well is shoot the 3 ball. They're just outstanding offensively. I think they might have set a school record recently, but I was looking at their game last week. They played Gordon Lee. Gordon Lee made the playoffs last season, and they beat them, I think it was 74-15. So they aren't playing around this season. They're trying to get better each week, each possession, and they've really helped put that program on the map. The question is going to be, does 3A look dramatically different? They lost to GAC last year in the state finals. GAC's up in 6A now. And now you bring in Hebron Christian, a powerhouse, Lumpkin County, a powerhouse, Wesleyan, another powerhouse, and then, Pickens is good, Carver Columbus is always good, Cross Creek. So I think their run's going to be really tough again. GAC was on that collision course with them last year. They do have an attitude, though. They can beat and play with anyone. We saw the same thing from Luella's head coach, LaToya Brown, last week. They're kind of accepting that role of Cedar Grove in football as a basketball team, going in these national circuits and playing some of the best teams in the country as a 4A school. But I think there's programs like that across the board in Georgia, and that's what these Thanksgiving Day tournaments and the upcoming holiday tournaments, the MLK tournaments, that's why it's so important. You talk about the different schedules in the non-region. As much as I love seeing these Georgia teams go up against the Texas powerhouses, I know how important that is for recruiting and the spotlight and just the business of basketball. But, man, when things are going to get into the region tournament time, I think it's just going to be one of the most competitive seasons we've seen, and just the star power and concentration of superstars in some of these regions, I mean, that just heightens it even more. That it's going to be a really epic battle this season.
I agree with you. I mean, especially out there, 7A can't sleep on that.
Yeah.
Brookwood and Norcross meet, that'll be really good. I think they're high up in the standings. I mean, it's so many potentially matchups that would be really good. I mean, you got Peachtree Ridge playing well, Buford girls are playing well, McCutcheon 6-2. Their men's basketball program is playing pretty good this season. But let's move on to Newton. I want to kind of highlight them. 3-2 right now. Stephon Castle had a big game in Duncanville against a really good powerhouse program, 41 points. We kind of asked the question, could he be able to, be kind of on the next level? Would he be a kind of combo guard, or would he be the point? But he's showing that he can score really good. But what do you think about his performance? And then, Marquavius Brown, actually, another highly touted kind of recruit. He signed with North Carolina AT&T, and it was actually pretty early. It's actually a hard commit. He had some really good offers: Georgia, Georgia State, Kansas State, Missouri, South Carolina, Texas Tech. Xavier. But he hard committed to North Carolina A&T. So are you surprised with that move? And what do you think about him as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors into what school you go to. It can be family, it can be grades, it can be the coach. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, then plenty of people will flip later. I think Newton has a really good chance this year, though. And we were asking the question about Stephon Castle. Will he kind of be a facilitator, try to get the assist? But it is clear that he's their primary scorer this season. He put up the 41 points against the Texas powerhouse. The game before, he put up 35 against McCutcheon. So, I mean, what is he averaging this season? 30 points a game? I mean, he's just absolutely lighting it up. So if you're a UConn fan, you have to love this, because that's a perfect fit for him. And he's about, 6'5", 6'7"? He's hauling in a ton of rebounds, too. He's had multiple double-doubles. So he has the size to attack the basket. He's drilling it from three-pointers this year. And if you have and he also is playing well with his teammates. You mentioned some of the names, but when you have a guard like that out there that's just such a scoring threat, I mean, that is really key. And I've just been impressed with the amount of scoring he's been able to do. I mean, he's having an exceptional senior season so far. I mean, I don't see too many players putting up 35 and 41 in back-to-back weeks. So he's just having a breakout, and there's a reason he's one of the top seniors in the state.
Yeah, there definitely is a reason why. And one more player I want to highlight from the Newton program, Ja'Kai Newton's another guy committed to Indiana. Combo guards, having a good season as well as a 4-star. What do you think about him and how he's been playing this year?
I think it says a lot, because he's putting up like 25, 24 points each game. I wanted to say week in and week out. I'm still in football mode. But I think it says a lot when you're still putting up the production. You have another great player, and you're playing well together. I mean, that's going to be the key. It can't just be one guy each night. And I think that makes them really dangerous. I mean, in the backcourt, they have an outstanding duo right there. And going through this Class 7A gauntlet, obviously what they go through playing the AAU circuits and stuff, they can play well on any team they're with, but it's going to be about how those two can mesh together, feed off each other. When one of them is struggling or when one of them has a tough matchup, the other guy can step up. So that's just really nice to see. So, yeah, I've been impressed by how they both have kind of gone off in these big games. They're going to be very dangerous. And as I said, I can't wait for the region games. And I think it was in 2014, there was a Pebblebrook team that had played all these tough games. They must have been like 10 games under 500 just because they had played out-of-state teams. And then they went into the region tournament, ended up winning the whole thing. They took out some absolute powerhouses and then made a run to the quarterfinals. So it's like, it's a little different than football, but you definitely, that growth that Coach Mince was talking about, that's the key to this point in the season. And when Newton's already playing this well, the win over McEachern, that shows they have a true team this year.
Yeah, and then, before I let you go, Craig, I got two more questions for you. One major one, looking at these major matches we got this weekend, Saturday. I mean, you got Kell versus Brookwood on the girls' side. The men's side, you got Newton versus Norcross. So I want you to kind of play a little bit of Mr. Predictor here. Give me some predictions. What do you think is going to happen in those games, and who you kind of rolling with to win both of those games?
I think with Norcross, we were talking a little bit about it. They're obviously undefeated. They've brought in a ton of transfers this year, and so I think they're coming together. At this point, though, I would not bet against Norcross. I do think they're going to win it. They have that outstanding just system going over there, and as we saw, even players from last year's team skipping the year to basically create a pathway to go to the NBA. And so when you're still undefeated and you're losing key players like that, it's like, okay, they've got something really strong going over there. And yeah, they had like 4 or 5 key transfers. So we'll look into that matchup. I think it will be a great indicator. And then were you talking about the Lovejoy Rockdale County on the girls' side?
Yeah, that one, and then also Brookwood plays Kell. Kell last year was
yeah.
in the state championship, so I think that'll be another good test for Brookwood.
Yeah, Kell has Crystal Henderson. She's been, for 4 straight years, just probably one of the best players in the entire state. That would be a great matchup with her and Deanna Collins. But in terms of Crystal Henderson and Kell, there's a lot of people that say Kell is the best team this year. They have actually had some losses, though. The boys haven't, the girls have. So I think they'll come in motivated. They'll want to have a good test against Brookwood. But I don't know. I think Brookwood healthy, they might take that, especially just the slow start, not being full force against River Ridge, and getting to experience a playoff caliber team like that. I think that will be an interesting matchup. And then Lovejoy, I really like them. They've been probably a premier girls program besides your Norcrosses, just really playing excellent throughout the years. We talked about how 6A did get a lot stronger with defending champion Marist, Woodward Academy. You got Rockdale County, but I still think Lovejoy is the top team in that classification. They've been there before, and they got Ayanna Presley.
Yep, and one more question, Craig, before I let you go. Next week, when you come on, we're going to highlight kind of lower classifications, dive into some Class A Division 1, Class A Division 2, the 2A, the 3As, and 4As. But I wanted to highlight Lumpkin County. That's a program that won their state title last year. They brought back a lot of good players, a senior-led group, really talented. They're the class, the powerhouse that they're in 3A for the girls. What do you think about their program and what they're kind of building over there after winning the state championship? Looks like they may be on a collision course to do it again.
Ball movement. You watch that team play, they pass the ball around better than anyone. So that's just what makes them strong. They're all grown up through the program. I think when we talked to their coach, that's what he was talking about. These girls have been playing together for a long time. They're homegrown, and yeah, when you watch them play, that ball moves around the perimeter, and they just have light-out shooters. They're just a really well-tuned team. I mean, it's not one player. That they are fun to watch. And I remember the game last year. Just that ball just kept moving back and forth, and they just have great shooters. So we'll definitely need to talk about that matchup. I think it'd be exceptional to see them win a state title. They don't really have the transfers and all that, but they do have just a really well-coached, focused team that goes out there, plays gritty, plays hard every single night.
I agree, man. Well, thank you so much, Craig, for joining the show. Greatly appreciate it. A lot of fun having you on. Next week again, in the last segment, we'll break down some of those lower classifications, get into it, and do kind of a thorough analysis of the lower classifications in basketball, boys and girls, and that'll be exciting.
You bet. Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you next time. But, yes, guys, that's Craig Sager. That's all I got for you guys today. Some basketball. Really enjoyed having on Coach Mince from the Brookwood side. They have, again, a big game coming up this weekend. They're going to play Cale. Norcross boys are going to play Newton. And then I think Lovejoy has a game later on with another great group. So I hope you guys are enjoying the show as much as I am. We'll see you guys next Thursday to break down some lower classification basketball, highlight some good teams, and with a couple more guests on next week. So we'll see you then.